Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Son in here, doing another 2 versus 2 cast. This cast goes out to an old friend, Maju. You were around when I needed someone to talk to a few years back when things were a bit grim. So once again, thank you for that. And do remember, if you ever need to talk to me or any of your old friends, we'll be there for you as well. That's it. Let's just bring the game up to speed so you guys can actually see what's going on here. We are heading off to the Medaean Cliff Mines. As mentioned, this is going to be a 2 versus 2. We'll be having some Imperial Guards up against some Space Marines and the Orkz. We'll be seeing what players it is in just a moment. This is of course a replay, so it's not going to be a live match. I do have a general feeling what's going on, but we'll be seeing. On the blue side, we'll be having Orkz and Caeltos playing as the Lord General and the Lord Commissar. While on the red team we'll be having well, it's two persons known currently going by the screen name GrINviN. I'm not quite sure which one is I do believe his name is GrINviN. Otherwise I'm not quite sure which who the second player is. But they're rocking the Orc Mech Boy and the Space Marine Tech Marine. Quite interesting to see what's gonna be happening here. Imperial Guard have some very trolly builds available at the moment, and I'm quite interested to see if Orkz and Caeltos is going to be doing something crazy with those particular fellas. In particular, I know that, well, honestly, both players have a bit of a reputation for doing some very weird plays, so I'm very interested to see if they're going to be doing something special in this particular matchup. He already using his Imperial Guards to try and tire out these shooters here, although the Imperial Guard is not a very good melee champion. He can still absorb fire pretty decently compared to well, his guardsmen anyway. Pretty much getting sergeants out right away, and it looks like Caeltos is following that lead. He's pretty much captured the most of the middle and is now using his commissar to keep the Space Marine forces at bay. That shield, of course, giving him a fair bit of sustainability at the beginning. Meanwhile, Orkz is doing a pretty decent power bash against the Orcs, so we're gonna have a bit of trouble until they start rocking the big shooters and whatever the Mech Boy can bring into play. Mech Boy does have some very powerful counters against these Imperial Guardsmen clubs, so it'll be interesting to see if he's gonna be going for early big shooters, or maybe he'll be going for either the big shooter to suppress those blobs, or he might just decide to go for an electric armor and fry the poor guys.
Sir, our advantage is slight.
Definitely feels like at the moment that blue team is having the advantage. Well, it's pretty close over to the Space Marine side, but yeah, it does look like we have the electric armor on the Mech Boy, which is going to be very dangerous for the guardsman. And he can pretty much just pour in, blow all his energy and well, possibly kill off an entire squad if they don't take that the kind of damage that thing can do seriously.
Sir, we're losing a victory point out there.
Does look like this commissar is going to have to get on out there. And we are seeing catechin squads come out for both Orkz and Caeltos, so pretty much at the same time too. Those guys became extremely effective in the last patch, since the numbers were reduced to having 5 members per squad instead of 7, and having their damage and hit points increased per model to compensate. Thing is, before they used to have some models with knives who of course would not be they would not be firing at all when in a firefight. So basically they're doing far more range damage than they did before, without actually having lost the number of shooters, so to say. So yeah, those guys pretty much just melt ranged now. Somehow though, I did miss that it looks like if this energy level is something to go by, it looks like GrINviN, this Mech Boy just ported into one of the Imperial Guard squads and killed every single one of them.
Commander here.
I'm quite sorry that I somehow missed that. You know, I have reviewed this game once, and well, I did see that happening. So yeah, my bad then. It does, however, mean that Orkz is gonna have a lower upkeep at the moment, and it does look like he's using that to bring out a second catechin squad, which could be very dangerous indeed. You see, these catechins have no problem whatsoever forcing back these guys. And there's the electric armor again, but it doesn't have enough energy to make it quite as lethal as the first one. It'll be very interesting indeed to see what these catechins can do. Caeltos is going to be going with double catechins as well. very, very frustrating to fight against. There's the good old reliable knocking them back and giving a few models. And yeah, that mech boy, he doesn't have any energy at the moment. He can't satch these guys. He's gonna have to get on out of there. And pretty much the only thing stopping Caeltos from being really ridiculous in tier 1 is probably that they don't have a melee charge. They don't fire on the move and they can't chase anyone, but they do horrendous damage both in close range quarters and well, pretty much with range, since they do have a shorter range than dedicated range squads, but on the other hand, they seem to miss even less than normal ones. I mean, they'll pretty much always hit someone with a shotgun. It's not like they actively do more damage the closer your opponent is. So yeah, those Caeltos can be very, very powerful indeed. Of course, if they get caught in the crossfire like this and get suppressed by the Techmarine, who's gotten a mastercrafted boulder, which allows him to, well, pretty much try and pick off a model and suppress him at will, it could be very, very dangerous indeed. And yeah, it looks like both players have decided to go with the double Caeltos build, so that looks like it's going to be their gimmick this time. That may cause a ton of damage. We're going to have to see a bit of firefight here. Fully upgraded shooter squads against these Caeltos squad, and it's pretty much not even close. This Caeltos squad did take a decent amount of damage before they got healed up there, but they did not lose a single model. To be fair though, the Orkz only lost a single model as well, but it does rather look like the Caeltos Devils would easily win a shootout as long as they can actually get into range before getting whittled down too much. Which is of course problematic since they can also survive pretty easily. This Caeltos squad did get into trouble however, and they do manage to get back with only 9 hit points left, which this does equate to 3 members. And as you can see here, Caeltos squads are actually very, very good at power bashing as well. It didn't take long for those two squads to wipe out the power farms entirely. There's the smoke bomb actually being used by both players, it looks like, greatly reducing the ranged damage these gentlemen are taking, giving them a bit more time. There's the flare keeping the ranged damage output a bit lower. Yeah, I don't think these guys are going to be able to stand up to this kind of abuse. Both the flamers and the potential for grenade, they're going to have to get out of there before there's trouble. There was an explosion here that could easily have killed a few shooter boys there, but it looks like Cursed wasn't quite ready for that, and yeah, they're going to wreck it now before someone gets hurt. You can say a lot of things about Orkz, but they do appreciate work safety. As long as someone else blows up, they're totally cool with it, but they don't really like getting blown up by other people. Oh dear, and looks like the Techmarine just got blown to hell and back by a double, I'm not even sure if, I do think both squads actually just used their, reliable abilities to just shower those guys with grenades, and they're getting right on out there. Meanwhile, the Orkz are getting a very nice counter bash going on here. Of course, the shooter boys are also one of the with shooter boys with both this here big guy with his big shooter as well as well, the big shooters on the regular boys. They can just do horrendous damage in the early game. Of course, the problem is it doesn't scale well since it's all boulder damage, so it's not going to do anything against vehicles. It's very poor against heavy infantry, but it does remain one of the best ways to force off commanders and such in the game. So that's a very, very viable tactic, particularly in team games where range tends to have a higher priority. And it does look like Cursed ends up losing his second guardsman squad there to lots and lots of dagger in the middle, and he is now down to both his Caeltos Devil squads. One of them is now getting the upgrade for his cluster bomb squad. Looks like he's also got a grenade launcher, which does allow him to make these Caeltos Devils sprint a fair bit. And they do power damage in melee, so they could be doing damage to this Razorback, but honestly, since they don't really have a shot, they're not going to be able to catch up to any Razorback that actually tries to get away. That said, they can actually be surprisingly dangerous to walkers as well as if you're not careful. Our melee is pretty damn useful. Oh, and looks like we have I think that's the Commissar Lord. He's now got his power song, which gives him the ability to buff every unit around with a little more damage. Also gives him a bit of a sprint, but it looks like it was used primarily here to buff the melter gun on one of these squads, which means that he's going to be able to Well, the shotguns is gonna be doing even more damage. I'm not sure if it actually buffs the old reliable ability, but it could be very dangerous indeed. First is going all Catechins going. He is getting out this Stormtrooper squad, which is well, right away getting the melter gun upgrade. Very, very powerful anti-vehicle indeed. They, unless GrINviN the first is keeping these scouts inside for detection, it pretty much just takes one moment of the melter storm squads sneaking up to the Razorback, planting the melter bomb. That thing's not getting away unless you've got something that can force off these guys real quick. Best way to do that is of course melee, but neither of the GrINviNs actually have anything that can consists as a melee unit at the moment. This Razorback is just trolling these power generators at the moment. While the 4 Catechins there in the middle, and 2 of them are now sprinting in. There's the Inspire ability from the Commissar.
Requisition point hours for the
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have a bit of a double buffing going on here with both players stacking their buffs. I don't believe the Imperial Guard Commander's move bonus actually applies to allied infantry, but if it does, it could be very powerful indeed. Yeah, we can see these stormtroopers are getting trying to get all sneaky-like. If they can manage to get up there without revealing themselves, it could be dangerous. But yeah, there are scouts inside. So the question is, yeah, looks like they took a bit too long to actually get there. So now since they drain energy when they're infiltrating, they actually use so much they couldn't throw their melter bomb. Of course, if the melter bomb had landed, this Razorback would have been much slower, and even though it's close to its base, it would probably have taken a lot of damage before it could actually retreat. Then again, with the scouts coming up, it's hiding inside the Razorback and able to repair it at any time, you pretty much need to actually what's his face? Yeah, you pretty much need to actually kill off the Razorback for it to have any effect. Has taken around a 4%. Oh, there's the smoke bomb again. I think that was the Razorback actually finding that. Kind of peculiar. A lot of people don't use smoke bombs at all, but it looked like both sides are actually trying to make some use of it. There's a weird boy though. Pretty darn effective counter against Bob. He's gonna do pretty well against the Catechins, although he needs to be still needs to be careful since these guys can do a ton of damage at first, and seeing how we're in tier 2, they can also start getting real sneaky by standing still and infiltrate themselves. Of course, the Orkz have a ton of infiltration units available, and the Razorback is also pretty much moving detect at this point. But if you're not aware, 2 Catechins squads cloaked, if you're walking by that, they can pretty much wipe out a normal infantry armor squad instantly. And yeah, looks like we have the infamous heavy weapons team bug coming along with these 3 guys just standing there trolling, and they do manage to. Fortunately, no one's around to actually force these guys into the middle of the future and make this guy carrying the last cannon stop firing, which would have been devastating. Okay, we had that heavy turret down here. I don't know if that actually contributed to killing the Razorback, but yeah, that thing has a vehicle armor, so you can see these guys are not taking that thing down anytime soon. There's the Devils again. I've been Space Marines, not really doing all that much. Explosion and the electric armor once again coming into play. Not really doing anything this time though. Bit of a waste of energy. The old Zap, yeah, and you can see this weird boy got into extremely low health. I don't think they have the. It didn't look like they could use old reliable to destroy him there, but it got extremely close. The weird boy is going to be very good indeed. Both his regular attack, his stab, and the warp vomit is going to be very crucial to controlling these Catechins. You pretty much desperately don't want them to get into range of these shooters. You can see now they're sprinting in using the Imperial Guard ability, done right there, and GrINviN's not taking any chances. He's retreating before they can actually start firing. Well, these are, oh dear, look at that. Pretty much the entire squad just got punched to death there, and there's the this whole explosion thing was actually redundant. The shooter knob just evaporated into thin air from all those shotgun pellets. Very dangerous squad. Although it does look like Caeltos might actually lose one of his squads here. This one guy is very low, and it does look like he's actually gonna make it, but that was incredibly close. the commissar has geared up a fair bit. He now has the flak jacket, which allows him to use his execute ability on enemy units, very effective for sniping models and such. And of course stubbornness, which is pretty much the only war gear a lot of people get. Gives him a fair amount of health regeneration, dependent on how many men he has near him. Of course, in tier 3 there's another war gear available. Maybe we'll be seeing that. It's a bit of an artillery barrage course, which can be very, very powerful as well. Got a bit of a call before the storm at the moment. It looks like blue team is pretty comfortably ahead with 150 victory points. This data should probably be the Stormbot trying to do a bit of ninja cap, and the mech boy is pretty much just blowing his entire energy pool trying to kill these stormtroopers. But they do have a decent amount of hit points per model, so it looks like that's pretty much in vain. Meanwhile, we do have these knobs are now coming out, and they are going to be very, very dangerous, giving a lot of trouble to this. Oh dear, looks like one of the Caeltos squads actually went down there, but still, the Caeltos do power melee damage, and they are doing quite well for themselves. Pretty much almost ending up killing the entire squad with a single model getting out alive, despite a shooter support. Oh dear. And that Sab is going to jump over, and you can see one of these four guards actually go down to that. Yeah, this turret is just not having a good day. For some reason, it kind of looks like it's pretty much just hitting ground around here. Don't know if it's kind of peculiar. It doesn't really look like terrain should be stopping it like it is, but this wood boy looks like he's gonna have no problem whatsoever actually killing this thing. Oh dear, looks like we have a bit of a rock strike coming there from the Orkz, just dropping those asteroids down. And ooh, yeah. First is actually pretty low on troops at the moment. He's down to one of his Caeltos squad, which is nearing level 4, and the stormtroopers, which are still gonna be pretty instrumental in taking down this dreadnought. However, he is getting out Orkz, which is going to be quite effective at this point, since looks like both players are pretty much focusing units to take down these Caeltos. Of course, both Knobs, the Weird Boy, and the Dreadnought are kind of effective against the Orkz, but yeah, the thing is, with the assault cannon you upgrade, you lose the pound of well, I don't know, Emperor's Fist, I believe it's called, which is a very, very powerful way of denying heavy melee. So we're gonna have to see a bit of Knob versus Open action. They are going in to try and kill this turret. There's the sprint ability trying to knock them down, but the Knobs do manage to kill it off, and they're now trying to retreat before taking any losses. Do seem to have a bit of a pattern problem though. They're running right into those Caeltos there. Oh dear. Very nice save from the Dreadnought there, and it does look like the Knobs are getting out with but a single casualty. Got the last cannon set up again here, forcing this Dreadnought to fall back. Homicide charges in very nicely, forcing off the rest of these fine fellas. Does look like everyone has reached tier 3. Of course, we knew that with Knob, but doesn't look like any of the other players have decided to go for any tier 3, either war gears or otherwise equipment. The Imperial General has also decided to go with the, I do believe he's gotten a box collar on. Yeah, you can see the guy with the, what's this here, radio. I reckon it's very, very powerful when playing with this many Caelton devils, since it allows him to call in a reinforcement crate, so to say, that reinforces all squads around it. For a fixed cost of, I believe it's, I can't remember how much requisition is. Regardless, though, if you've lost around 3 Caelton devils, I believe it easily pays for itself, since those guys usually cost power to reinforce, which is not going to be a problem with that crate. Yeah, and those stormtroopers are starting to get in trouble. I think he's just trying to move them into a position where they won't be trying to retreat through these knobs here. A flare to reduce the range on the Weird Boy here, pretty much giving the Caelton devils a bit of a free reign. And boom, there's the shotgun. He's knocking them down, and oh dear, one of the knobs did not get away. And you can see, it's honestly surprising how much damage these guys are taking. They are heavy infantry, so they should be taking reduced damage from the shotguns, but they are still dropping really, really fast against these guys. Looks like we do have Terminators out now. They're getting a Flamer upgrade. Could be quite dangerous indeed. The Caeltos Devils are flame resistant, so it's not going to be incredibly powerful against them, but in particular the Guardsmen and Stormtroopers are going to have to worry about that. Looks like these Devils are going to have to get right on out. They're at risk of getting a sandwich here, and the Terminators do pack a punch with those power fists, so fair few Devils end up down to that. You can see this Commissar is just as long as those troops were around, he was just regenerating health like a boss, just going down and all. He's finally getting into a danger and getting right on out of there. The second push is coming up here with most of Cursed forces coming along, although Caeltos has a few mix there as well. Oh dear. That Ogryn is just getting completely separated from his fellows. And, it does look like the Imperial Guard has been stopped by this Wall of Doom. The Dreadnought in particular providing some very valuable support fire against this kind of use here. Looks like we had a call in there, I believe, from the Imperial Guard commander. And yeah, this thing is just rolling around like a boss, but the red team needs to be quite careful now. They do have a triple cap going on, which means they are reducing their elite deficit by a fair amount, but we do have a Baneblade coming out for Curse now, and it's Caeltos as well. 2 Baneblades. This could be very dangerous indeed. Knobs are pretty effective against Baneblades if they can actually get into range. As it pretty much means the Baneblade loses all its primary means of damage. Still, very, very dangerous indeed. And it looks like Caeltos just tried to use his flakjacket to... Oh dear. Oh, that is mine clearing the Orc where he just ran through I don't know how many mines. What is it, 8 or 9 or something like that? Got down to dangerously low levels of hit points as well, since Caeltos used his execute ability to actually try and shoot the poor guy in the tree. Bit of a smoke bomb on here to reduce the damage taken by the Commissar Lord. And there's the knockback, pretty much wasting the invulnerability in these knobs here. They are, however, getting to melee range now. Question is if he's going to do another knockback or if he's going to head into melee now. No, those knobs are getting right on out there. Stand up to that fight. Oh, and it looks... No, I honestly thought that thing was going to miss entirely, but it does look like they're going to make it through pretty safely. These Ogres really, really want to kill this thing, and I don't think it's going to make it out of this one alive. Yeah, there's another bomb, and it goes down. Just in time too, since honestly, if it hadn't gone down to that, it was going to have a hard time against these 2 Baneblades coming along. But just initially, you can see that giant gun there pretty much takes off half the hit points of any non-walker tank in a single shot. And even walkers, they can probably get taken down in 4 shots alone. So you can imagine two of those cannons, they're gonna wreck them really quick. Keep in mind, they don't fire that cannon automatically. It is an ability you need to activate every 30 seconds or something like that. But still, these Baneblades here are gonna make for one hell of a presence, which will make it very difficult to retake the middle, or whichever place they decide to take. There's the Immortal-like shot taken down. Well, it actually only killed 2 Orc models, I believe, but yeah, it's just coming in there, and these guys are gonna have to get out of there. But the Imperial Guard do need to bring someone down to actually cap that point. This point is just a stalemate with red team catching up quite nicely indeed. Oh, it looked like the mech boy was actually trying to do a ninja cap there, but he does fail, and yeah, these oh dear, these guys are in a lot of trouble. There's an awful lot of Caeltos there. There's sprint ability on one of the squads. Oh, these guys are very dangerously low indeed. They cannot complete the chase since we have the second squad of knobs coming out there. We're gonna be trying to I don't know if they're gonna try and take the middle or if they're gonna try and circle around a bit. Question is if blue team is gonna be sending up something here to try and cap that. It looks like both sides are now currently focusing on holding the middle. Of course, blue team has a massive advantage of that regard to these Baneblades here. Does look like the second Baneblade is being sent up here, probably to safeguard this fully upgraded unit of guardsmen who's going to be capping that point, and but still, even the Baneblade won't be able to force off these Terminators easily, and they can very, very easily fry these guardsmen with that thing. I mean, you can just see the size of that that cannon there. You do not want to mess with that if you're a squishy and flammable human. Yeah, you can see there's the stuff I was talking about, just biding their time and then boom. Heavy armor serving these guys pretty well, and there's the flaming. Oh dear, actually did a ton of damage to these Cataclysm Devils despite them being flame resistant. If they were, if they didn't have flame resist armor, I'm pretty sure that squad would have been wiped right there. But they do take a lot of damage there. Very nice engagement for the Terminators there. Porting on now there before they actually take any losses. And does look we do have a triple cap now for the blue team, having managed to very nicely cap this point while the middle was going on. Orkz are retaking the bottom point now, and they do really need to. Every victory point counts at this stage as they're down to below 80, and well. Question is if blue team is gonna be able to actually hold this. Their strength is pretty much concentrated in the middle, but Baneblades aren't the fastest of tanks, so they're not gonna be able to get a lot of work done. Oh, looks like we had the Commissar there use his Emperor's Wrath ability to try and knock these guys away. And where is he? Oh, there he is. I was wondering how long the range of that thing was, but it didn't look like GrINviN had any trouble actually avoiding that. They're getting right on out of there. Oh, looks like we have double knobs charging in there, but those two Baneblades are just together now. And there's the, I don't know if that was called the boys or something like that, but oh dear. Yeah, those knobs are not going to be able to get any damage done with both Devils, Orkz, and two Baneblades just wailing on them. That is pretty crazy. At the same time, though, it did pull the Imperial Guard out of position, and it looks like we're actually going to see a triple cap from the red team now. There's another immolate ability from the Terminators, trying to keep these Caeltos away for a bit. Yeah, they're in. They've taken a lot of damage at this point. This last cannon is just wailing at them, and they are very, very big targets, and it could be very dangerous indeed. I'm actually wondering if you can actually execute super heavy infantry, because it looks like these guys are barely gonna get out of there. I have a second Terminator squad out. There's the sync kill. Oh, that's pretty bad. It could mean this guy's gonna be getting away. But wait, looks like... Oh dear, looks like the execute actually managed to kill him. Very fortunate for blue team indeed, since two flame Terminators would have been very, very dangerous for them to deal with. Pretty much only the Baneblades and Orkz being able to even approach that kind of abuse. That was one hell of an execute there. Very, very nice. The Orkz are trying to hold the line at this point. They're actually taking a very decent amount of damage from these flamers and the Technory just wailing on them. I don't know why they're not actually attacking. This would be very, very problematic for Cursed Weaver, who actually now has a second Terminator squad out now. Meanwhile, GrINviN is trying to get his knobs into position, and he finally managed to get one squad in firing range without being suppressed. But they're now going to get forced back by this onslaught of well, Baneblades, Orkz, and Cataclysm Devils. They're going to be running right on out of there. It also will serve its purpose, and it looks like red team is now retaking the middle once again. This point actually having been capped as well, and well, blue team definitely needs to be capping this point real soon, since they are getting they're still ahead by a fair bit, but at this point, pretty much holding 2 or 3 victory points for any length of time could get very, very dangerous. There's a bit of flame action going on there. And the thing is, when this guy is using immolate ability, they cannot be tied up in melee, so you can see they're just firing the ability despite the Commissar wailing on them with his power sword there.
So that's 100 points.
Well, the Orkz are trying to distract a bit, I believe, by doing a bit of a power bash. Doesn't really matter all that much, though. For GrINviN, it does matter for GrINviN. He's not very high in power at the moment, but well, the Space Marine GrINviN. I need to remember there's 2 GrINvINs, so it's kind of silly, really. He is kind of starved for power, which is pretty typical of late game Orkz. In particular, knobs are very, very power hungry units indeed, pretty much costing the same as an ultimate if you want to fully upgrade it. looks like the blue team is gonna be recapping the middle, but the victory point has suddenly gotten very, very close indeed. 77 versus 51. This could be quite the nail biter indeed. Not once again trying to charge into the middle here, but yeah, this is a lot of firepower to go through. It's both melter damage, both the abilities of the pain blades. It looks like they are taking down for this here squad. Those Caeltos boys, you can see those. Now we just have Orkz pouring out from this little hidey hole here, and oh dear, that is. Now keep in mind, every time you see an Ork coming down from this place, it means something died down here. So you can see there's a lot of Ork casualties here, but they just do not stop coming. Very game-changing ability used at the right time. There's the Mega Rumbler keeping everyone down. All the Orks don't look like they're on their feet a bit more. This Ork is big trouble, and I don't think he's gonna. Nope, he does not make it out alive. Pretty bad loss for the Imperial Guard there. We do have a Lemon Rust coming out as well, but I do believe the Orks are starting to lose steam at this point. Oh, there's the Emperor's Fury. I do believe they will save some damage for the Frenzy ability, but oh yeah, these they cannot sustain this assault for long. Pretty much these two Bane Blades are just wailing on them. Orkz are doing a pretty good job actually holding the line, but it's not gonna be long before I actually have to get out now there. There's the call in, and boom! Here comes the second run. He's gonna be catching that knob. Oh dear. I don't think, yeah, he is down. Very bad loss for GrINviN indeed, and he's gonna have a hard time actually reinforcing that. Question is if it was actually not. He did hold the line for a long time, and at this point we are having very low victory point for the blue team. They're just about finishing decapping this point here. It looks like GrINviN sacrifices the shooters to actually try and keep this point, but they are still 2-0, and I don't think, no, this Commissar Order is not going to be able to cap this point and stay alive. So it looks like the red team, despite just having lost pretty much their entire army, particularly the Ork, is going to be able to survive and take home this game. Whew. Quite impressive actually keeping their cool there as well. Those double catachans were quite the problem. They weren't quite as devastating as I expected, although there was some very nice synergy, in particular with the sprint ability from the Lord General shotgun. But yeah, those considering there was very little melee, they did an admirable job, and well, pretty much only one squads ended up actually getting wiped out. But this was a quite interesting game indeed. So thanks to GrINviN, I believe, who uploaded this game, and thank you all for watching. Hopefully I'll be doing some proper streams with live games again, but until then, thank you guys for watching and take care.